Hi, welcome. This is Mr. Lauren with Reading is Fantastical here with another great story for you today, a book review that's based on a true story. Some would consider this person an American hero. And in fact, you may or may not have heard of this person, but we're going to find out a little bit more about it. So let's see here. Where can we start? How do we get mail? We've had a story about mail before, but this is a little bit different. How do we get mail? I know we answered that question before. Does it arrive because someone puts it in your mailbox? Do they ride by car or train? And how about horseback? Well, how does it get all over the world? And that's a really good question. Let's learn a little bit about how it travels. All right. And there it is. There is the cover. Jack Knight's Brave Flight. How one Gutsy pilot saved the U.S. airmail service. Airmail service by the air. Let's go to the next page. All right, here's the inside cover. Of course, I have a copy of the book here. You can get it at any public library, which is what we advocate. Or, of course, you can buy it yourself as well. So make sure you stop by and pick up the book. Or, of course, you can tune into this channel. Reading is Fantastical, and you can get the latest. So let me go ahead and inside cover here. Let's read it. Let's see. Airplanes have been flying the mail in short hops all over the country during daylight hours when pilots can see where they're going. But crashes are still too common. So lawmakers decide to cut funding for the U.S. airmail service. Outraged officials and pilots concoct a daring plan to save the service. A nonstop coast to coast race to prove that keeping mail in the air is the fastest way to move it across America. But when a crash, exhaustion, and a snowstorm threaten the race, Jack Knight steps up. All he has to do is fly all night long through a blizzard over land he's never covered with a nearly empty fuel tank. Wow, what could go wrong? Ooh, this is going to be good. Let's go ahead and turn the page. I'm going to turn the page here, my computer, and there is the author page. Of course, talked about. Let's go ahead and look at the front here by Jill Esbaum and illustrated by Stacy Innerst. All right, let's go to the next page here. All right, and I think we have the copyright page coming up. Yes, there it is, the copyright page. We always make sure to advocate you going to the copyright page so you can see who the publisher is. And of course, it gives information on the author and the illustrator and lets you know a place where you can contact them, let them know how much you enjoyed this particular book. All right, let's go to the next page. All right, and let's see here. All right, so ready to get to the story? Are you sitting comfortably? Are you relaxed? Do you have your reading ears on? Are you being quiet? Are you keeping your hands to yourself? All right, let's go. All right, here we go. All right, so this first page, looks like somebody really cold. Okay, looks like a pilot there with their pilot cap. This is way back in the day when they had those leather caps, right? And it looks like somebody's pretty cold. Let's go to the next page. All right, North Platte, hopefully I'm saying that correct, Nebraska, February 22nd, 1921. That is a long time ago. 10:44 p.m. Jack Knight adjusts his goggles, eases the control stick forward, and rumbles down the runway. Hundreds of people crowd the airstrip, waiting in the wintry chill for their liftoff. Cheers ring out, and all eyes watch the plywood-covered de Havilland until it disappears into the night. All right. The plane taking off in the dead of night. Of course, late at night, 10:44 p.m. Next page. There it is. Is Jack transporting a famous passenger? Is he ferrying medicine to save a sick child? Is his plane filled with precious jewels or priceless artifacts? Mary Pickford, fragile, U.S. mail, jewels. Maybe. Let's go to the next page. All right, nope. So what's strapped into the open cockpit ahead of him? 6 sacks of mail. Right? Why then is the crowd so excited? Because this is no ordinary mail flight. This is an all day, all night, coast to coast race to save America's struggling airmail service, or not. The next page. All right, here we go. We see Jack Knight, the pilot, Looks like plane number 253. Ooh, doesn't look like he has a whole lot of protection. I'm not sure if they have any heat in that thing. Wow, let's go to the next page. All right, the wind is bitterly cold, and Jack has a hard time getting comfortable in the boxy seat. It doesn't help that he's still achy and stiff from last week's crash when his engine quit and sent him plowing into a snowy mountainside. Yikes. With every breath, he feels the weight of the plaster holding his broken nose in place. Yikes, you can see that strap that you saw earlier. Jack knows he was lucky to survive that crash. 17 other pilots have died. Go to the next page. All right, airmail relay across America. Those crashes are why America's lawmakers want to end airmail. Flying is too dangerous, they say, and replacing planes costs too much. Moving mail by train is safer and cheaper. All right, so we see all those planes there and areas. Let's go to the next page. Air pilots race to deliver. Okay, historic airmail attempt. But airmail officials and pilots know planes can move mail faster than trains. Today and tonight will prove it. Pilots are taking turns short hopping 4 planes across the country, 2 flying east, two flying west. At least one must get through or airmail is doomed. Yikes. All right, let's see. Airmail race. Go to the next page. Wow. Okay, it looks like he's yawning, getting tired, but still keeping his eyes out. Let's go to the next page. Flying the mail from Omaha to North Platte to Cheyenne, Wyoming is Jack's regular job. He flew the route earlier today, not knowing he'd been chosen. Yikes, he's doing 2 things today to take part in this night's flight. Now he's pooped. Oh well, he only has to fly the 248 miles back to Omaha. As the plane drones through the night, Jack yawns and searches for landmarks below. But nothing looks the same in the dark, of course. Whew. Signal fires are supposed to guide him, but it's awfully late. What if fire tenders have given up and gone to bed? No, there's one. He sees it. Go to the next page. I'm glad he sees it. There it is. You see the flame? Wow, somebody's there tonight, so give him some landmarks, right? All right. See his plane instruments. Okay. All right. Okay, there it is, right there. Let's go to the next page. Burning oil drums and torches lead Jack across Nebraska's Black Prairie, past Lexington, Kearney, and Grand Island. At least he spots a cluster of lights. Omaha. As proud as he is to have taken part in this relay, he's looking forward to turning the plane over to the next pilot. All right, so there's a landmark. There's a fire flames. Next page. 2,000 people cheer as Jack touches down at 1:10 a.m. He dropped from the cockpit, bone tired and shivering, and is greeted with bad news. The other eastbound pilot crashed in Nevada. Its pilot is dead. Oh no. Another pilot took his place in the relay, but now its pilot is too exhausted to continue. Worse, a blizzard has stranded the 2 westbound pilots in Chicago. So out of the 4, he's the only one still available to be able to fly. So what's it going to do? Let's go to the next page and find out what's happening next. And pilot traveling to Omaha to replace Jack, he can't get there either. In this historic race across America, Jack Knight is the relay's only hope. Whoa, he's got to do across the country by himself? Let's go to the next page. Well, you gave it your best. Shut, people say. Call it a night. Get some sleep. Instead, Jack studies a road map. He wants to get a feel for the route. Since he's never flown over Iowa and Illinois before, Chicago is more than 450 miles away. And at some point, he's going to collide with that blizzard, right? So he's getting some coffee and studying the map. He sees the stars behind him. Okay, let's go to the next page. Recalling how cold the trip had been already, he gulps hot coffee and stuffs newspapers inside his leather suit for extra protection. Leave the lights on for an hour, he tells the airfield manager. If I get lost, I'll sure as heck come back. Wow, look at the newspapers he's putting in his pants, and his boots, under his clothes to keep that cold away from him. Wow, that's got to be rough. Okay, next page. At 2 a.m., Jack takes off, staying low enough to follow the barely visible tracks of the Rock Island line. Constantly, he peers ahead for signal fires. Jack has been in the air for an hour when he sees lights twinkling on the horizon. Is that Des Moines? Yes, that's the Capitol Dome. Soon he spots the airfield. Good thing because he's almost out of fuel. Whoa. All right. Next page. Okay, there it is. It's almost out of fuel. Let's go to the next page. He begins to circle. As his heart sinks, there's snow on the runway, and without knowing its depth, he'd be crazy to land. All Jack can do is switch to his auxiliary tank and continue eastward. He doesn't stop, he keeps going. Iowa City should be less than an hour away. He'll have to refuel there. The ground crew waiting to help Jack at the Iowa City airfield receives a telephone call from someone in Omaha telling them the relay has failed. They go home to bed. Whoa, what is going on? A lot of communication problems, right? Okay, so they leave. They didn't even wait for him to land. Oh my goodness. Let's go to the next page. All right, so they've turned the lights out here in Iowa City. Whoa. All right, let's go to the next page. It begins to snow. The wind shifts, slowing the plane to 85 miles per hour. It's a rough ride. Every jolt of a bucking plane is like a punch to Jack's aching nose. He checks his compass often as the little plane bounces through the blizzard. Despite the cold, the engine's rhythmic throb makes Jack drowsy. His thinking grows fuzzy. No. He grips the control stick with his knees and slaps his face. He leans into the icy wind and lets it scour his cheeks until the danger of falling asleep has passed. So he's slapping himself awake. Whoa, Jack. Jack, for real. Next page. You see, look at his face is just frozen. Okay, let's go to the next page. What's this? We see someone phone calling, ringing somebody. Ring, ring. It's an old school telephones, right? Somebody leans back in a chair for somewhere. Let's find out what's going on here. Let's go to the next page. Only a night watchman remains at the Iowa City airfield to answer a second call. Reporting that the earlier message was a mistake, Jack Knight is on his way. Whoa. Okay, go to the next page. There he is. It's in his plane. Jack wipes slush from his goggles because the slush and stuff is going in his goggles. He peers ahead but can no longer see the horizon through the swirling snow. His compass tells him he's still flying east. But where's Iowa City? Will he find it before the plane runs out of fuel and crashes? Ooh, brother. He just had a crash earlier. Like the next, earlier in that day or something, the day before. There's the next page. The temperature drops to minus 12 degrees Fahrenheit. The shivering watchman stands outside a shack near the runway, listening for Jack's motor. He runs inside to warm up. Out, in, out. He's in and out, right? Finally, a faint buzz. The plane. By the time he rushes to place two flares in the center of the runway, Jack is zooming in. Whoa, he has to come in because it's running out of fuel, right? Okay. While the plane is being refueled, its engine running, Jack eats a ham sandwich and tries to warm up. Too soon, he's crawling back into the cockpit and taking off. He runs into the fog over the Mississippi River and climbs to 5,000 feet before finding the clean air. Clear, frigid air stinging his face, stiffening his fingers, numbing his nose. As dawn brightens the sky, the weary pilot sees the gray smoke of Chicago factories. It was the finest sight, he later said, I have ever beheld. All right. Okay. There is plane there. We see all the tanks refuels. Okay. Next page. We see Jack here. It looks like he's tired. When the plane landed at Checkerboard Field, people rushed to congratulate Jack Knight. Too bad he couldn't stand to greet them. His flight suit had frozen to the seat. He couldn't even stand up. It was frozen to the seat. Whoa, I have never heard that before. Next page. Jack was cut from his flight suit, and his mail sacks were transferred to another plane. One pilot flew them to Cleveland, Ohio, and from there, another finished the run into Long Island. Total time for the 2,629-mile transcontinental air relay, 33 hours and 20 minutes. They've beaten the old plane train record by nearly 39 hours. Wow. Wow, that's crazy. Okay, go to the next page. All right, cool. You see the people in the newspaper, people typing a message, typing for the newspaper. Okay, what's it say? Jack Knight's daring 830-mile overnight flight made headlines across America. All right, get next page. Okay, suddenly everybody was excited about airmail service. Within a few days, Congress voted 2-1 to give the service the money they needed to continue operating. And there's Jack Knight with his bandage or whatever on his nose because he had it broken from that crash, right? And so kept him awake. Hopefully, Lewis, Eaton, Smith, Lenhard, Little, Allison, all the other pilots there. Go to the next page. The U.S. mail service was saved, air mail service, I should say, thanks to 14 determined men who risked their lives to make it happen, especially one cold and exhausted hero who refused to give up. See some of the other pilots there? Good deal. Go to the next page. All right, so there he is. Okay, there is Jack Knight. His picture of him on that page there. And Clarence Lang to his right, back view, posed standing against a board wall in Omaha, Nebraska, to model winter flying clothing issued by the government. So that's what they wore when they're flying on those planes up there, right? And it gives information from the author about the mail must go through, but Americans couldn't always take that for granted. So we see the information here. Make sure you take a gander at the information that's written there. Let's go to the next page. All right, let's hear in his plane. One of the pilots, Ernest Allison, in the cockpit of his de Havilland airplane. Allison flew the final leg of the transcontinental race. So he's the last pilot to bring it home. All right, go to the next page. All right, so we see the highlights in the history of the U.S. mail. Okay, we see information starting from 1639, okay, to 1860 on this page here. Go to the next page. All right, then it picks up here from 1861 all the way to 1927. And it talks about Jack Knight's flight here again, just a little bit about it. Pretty cool, huh? All right, let's go to the next. Is that it? That's all we have. So that's great. Once again, this is based on a true story about how they saved the U.S. air mail service. So take again at Jack Knight's brave flight. In the meantime, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Reading is fantastical. My name is Mr. Lauren, and it's my pleasure to bring you these stories. Email me, let me know if there's any stories that you would like me to go ahead and present, and so that everyone can learn and grow, and just to get excited about reading. Reading is fantastical. Take care and have a great day. Bye-bye now.